So, The Boys has now officially ended with its 5th and final season. And yeah, this season was bad. It just didn't work as a final season, and the finale itself was very underwhelming. This is probably the worst season of the show. Yeah, this show has fallen off so hard. I used to like it, but this show has become so terrible, and I just hate it now. Even though I really don't like this show anymore, I will say I actually did get to meet both Carl Urban and Anthony Starr, which was awesome. I even got a framed autographed picture from Anthony Starr that's on my wall. This last season of The Boys has been hated on by mostly everyone. Even devoted fans of the show are hating this season. There's actually a lot of debate between the fandom of when this show starts getting bad. There are people who say the first 3 seasons are good, with the show peaking at season 3 and the show getting bad after that, with season 4 and 5 being bad. But there's people who even say that season 1 was the only good season and the show just fell off after that. I remember a time when people said that season 2 was the worst season of the show, and oh boy, it is not anymore. Now, first, I want to talk about how season 5 completely undoes what happened in the end of the season 4 finale. The 4th season of The Boys was also pretty bad, but one of the few good things about the season was its ending. What happens is Butcher lets his tumor take control of him and gets these venom-like powers. He then betrays the boys for the 100th time by killing Victoria Newman and taking the soup virus from them. This sets up Butcher becoming a villain who wants to kill every soup in the world, and the team not wanting to work with him again. By the first episode of season 5, they just completely undo that. He's back working with the boys again, and the show just seems to be backing out of doing the whole Butcher villain arc. The boys just trust him again when they absolutely should not. This happens in literally every season. Butcher turns evil and betrays the boys. Then he comes back to them. They're like, Butcher, we can't work with you anymore. Then they just end up working with him again.
Still trying to put the world back together, I see.
Hello, Peter. We're not joining your team.
I'm putting together a team.
We're in.
It's so repetitive, and it's such a missed opportunity to not have Butcher be evil. It would have been so awesome for Butcher to go full being on his own mission to kill every suit by any means necessary. But no, we can't have that. We can't commit to Butcher being a villain. We gotta maintain the status quo. At this point, how can I feel bad for the boys getting betrayed by Butcher? Because he does it all the time and they still take him back. The ending also sets up a new status quo change, with the president giving Homelander the power over the country to send soups everywhere to arrest all Starlighters and put them in internment camps. So Huey, MM, and Frenchie all get arrested and put into camps, which was a crazy ending. But in the first episode of season 5, they all get broken out of the camps, completely undoing what was set up at the ending of season 4 right away. So literally everything that happened with the main characters ended up getting reversed right away. So that just meant nothing. Something that this show has been teasing for 5 seasons is Homelander finally snapping. Homelander has been a ticking time bomb for the entire series, and we've been waiting for him to finally go on a rampage and kill a bunch of people. That never really happens in this season. Literally, Noir 2 did more damage than Homelander in this season when he kills billions of fish. And that was just to spite the deep.
Make the ground shake.
A huge wasted opportunity was the Flight 37 video. This is something that's been a plot point since season 1. The video of Homelander letting everyone on a plane die and even threatening them.
You stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit! I'll laser every fucking one of you!
This has been used as blackmail against Homelander and is the reason why he didn't kill the boys at the end of season 2. Well, in the first episode of season 5, Starlight leaks the Flight 37 video in front of a whole audience where Homelander is giving a speech. This goes absolutely nowhere. They just dismiss it as AI and then never bring it up again.
How'd you catch him red-handed?
Our enemies have started using bleeding-edge technologies like AI.
So, this big plot point that has been a thing since the first season just gets tossed away in the first episode of the last season. In season 3, we got a scene where Starlight threatens to leak the video, and Homelander says if she does, he'll have nothing to lose and just destroy everything.
Go ahead. Release it. Let's light this candle, huh? I mean, sure, I'll lose everything, but then I'll have nothing to lose. First, I'll take out the nerve centers. The White House, the Pentagon, then any domestic defense capabilities, and then critical infrastructure, like cellular, internet, that kind of thing. And then, well, I think then, I'll just wipe New York off the fucking map.
So when it finally gets leaked, we're like, oh, is this when Homelander finally snaps? Well, he's about to, but Sister Sage just stops him. She's like, oh, we don't have the budget to do this. We can't have you go full scorched earth like we've been teasing this whole time. What a complete waste. You can tell the writers had no idea what they were going to do with Flight 37, so they just poorly wrote it out of the show. Also, why would Starlight release the video when Homelander himself told her what he's going to do if she leaks the video? What was she trying to accomplish? Does she want Homelander to kill a bunch of people? Well, lucky for her, Homelander's all bark and no bite, and he never does anything. I'll get more into my problems with Homelander in this season and generally my problems with this character as the show has gone on later. But right now, I want to talk about Soldier Boy. I knew this season wasn't going to be great because the show has been falling off, but the one thing I was excited for was to see Jensen Ackles return as Soldier Boy. He's one of my favorite characters in the show, and he was the best part about Season 3. I feel like the only reason people say Season 3 is the best season is because Soldier Boy's in it. But this season completely ruined his character. The main problem with Soldier Boy in this season is that he's mostly used to advertise Vought Rising. So I'm sure you all know that Amazon has a new spin-off of The Boys called Vought Rising, which is a prequel featuring Soldier Boy, Stormfront, Bombsight, and they released a trailer for it recently. We get mentions of characters who are appearing in the show like Bombsight, Torpedo, and Private Angel, and we get the introduction of Bombsight in the show. They introduce him with this new MacGuffin Eric Kripke pulled out of his ass called V1. You see, Soldier Boy and all the old suits had V1, which makes the people who have it in their blood immortal and has them be immune to the soup virus.
He's got V1 in his bloodstream. Shit.
V1? What is V1?
Frederick Vaught's first iteration of Compound V.
V1's 10 times more potent than today's formula. Point is, V1 saved your life, and is likely why your generation of soups doesn't age.
This is a modern Compound V molecule. This is the virus. Its spike proteins bind to the V receptors, kind of like gears meshing, but V1 is different. It looks like this. Nothing for the virus to bind to.
So now Homelander wants to get the V1 to be immortal. This totally wastes the virus, which was a plot point that was introduced in Gen V Season 1 and was followed up on in Season 4 of The Boys. Yeah, I guess the virus ended up being totally useless. So Homelander spends episodes 4, 5, and 6 trying to get the V1, and I'll get into my problems with those episodes later. All you need to know is that Bombsight has the V1, so everyone needs to get it from him. They kept on mentioning Bombsight like we were supposed to know who he is.
Bombsight.
Bombsight. Bombsight. Bombsight.
Bombsight.
Bombsight.
Who?
And they hype up him appearing, even though I don't give a shit about Bombsight.
I don't give a shit about
Bombsight.
Episode 6 is all about the boys trying to find Bombsight to get the V1 before Homelander gets it. So they lure him in by kidnapping his old girlfriend, Golden Geisha. So we get a fight between Soldier Boy and Bombsight, and I don't care about any of this, man. We don't know anything about Bombsight and his rivalry with Soldier Boy. It's just so shameless how much of a Vought Rising promo this is. And them using the final season to set up a prequel spin-off is just stupid. A character who gets brought up way too much in this season is Stormfront. This is also because she's going to be a main character in that Vought Rising show. Now, all of a sudden, Soldier Boy is in love with Stormfront and has been this whole time, which just comes out of nowhere. Previously, he only mentioned her once in Season 3, and that was just to say he started Herogasm with her.
It's my thing. I founded it in 52. Me and this other soup, Liberty. Man, was she a firecracker.
But since they had the idea to make Vought Rising, which is about both of them, they retconned her to be the love of his life, even though I thought Crimson Countess was the love of his life.
I loved you. All those years. that they burned me and that they pumped me full of poison, I held on to the hope that you would come, that you would save me, because I still loved you.
Now it's all about how much he loves Clara.
That was Clara. You told me she killed herself.
I couldn't let her go because I loved her. And so did you.
You're goddamn right, I loved her. You knew her for 5 minutes. I was with her for decades.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about? What the fuck was that?
And he even decides to give Homelander the V1 because it's what Clara would have wanted.
You know, Clara used to say the craziest shit. That I was the strongest soup alive. But she was wrong. She hadn't met you yet. Why do you hate me? I loved her more. And this is what she would want.
That's some bullshit. Soldier Boy goes from hating Homelander and trying to kill him to saving him when he could easily kill him, then to hating him again because he saw a video of him fucking Stormfront while she's on her deathbed, to giving him the V1 because he loves Clara more than he hates Homelander. Why would Soldier Boy decide to make Homelander immortal? Because Stormfront loved him? Didn't he literally say this to Butcher?
Wait, Homelander fucked your wife and you want to save the brat?
Wait, Homelander fucked your girl and you want to make him immortal? I really don't care about Stormfront. She wasn't as important as they're making her out to be this season. She was only in season 2 and died in the first episode of season 3. Why am I supposed to buy Soldier Boy's love for Stormfront? She's a fucking nuts.
Well, I don't like Jews, or colored folk, or natives, now that you mention it.
They just completely character assassinated Soldier Boy in a shitty attempt to set up a prequel series. Before, I was excited for Vought Rising because I love Soldier Boy, but now I don't want to see it out of spite. The trailer looked pretty lame anyway. Soldier Boy's character has been completely ruined, which is such a shame since Jensen Ackles is great and just has so much charisma. He doesn't even get a proper ending at the end of the series. Homelander just chokes him out and freezes him again since Soldier Boy still hates him and he doesn't come back in the finale. What a complete waste. Soldier Boy ends every season frozen. It's obvious that Soldier Boy was meant to die at the end of season 3, but they decided to keep him alive last minute since Jensen Ackles was so good, even though they clearly didn't have plans for him in season 4. So they just decided to give him a spin-off and then bring him back in season 5 to advertise the spin-off. Like, this is something the boys would make fun of Marvel for doing. They've basically just became what they're making fun of. This would be the equivalent if they used the last season of Breaking Bad to advertise Better Call Saul and spend episodes introducing Kim and just mentioning Chuck a lot. Besides this last season being a shameless advertisement for Vought Rising, most of these episodes were pure filth. In episode 4, the boys go to Fort Harmony to find the V1, but the whole place makes everyone mad and they start fighting each other. Homelander and Soldier Boy also go there, and Soldier Boy tries to kill Homelander by trapping him into a uranium chamber.
Oh, well done.
It's enriched uranium. They'd stick us soups in there to see if we could survive an atomic bomb. Now, for normal Joe, they'd be dead in minutes. But for you, it's a stomach flu. Good luck, though. Getting out of a soup-proof cell while you're bleeding out of your ass.
This episode is just entirely pointless. The V1's not there. Soldier Boy destroys the thing, making them mad, so they aren't mad anymore. Homelander escapes the chamber, but doesn't kill Soldier Boy because he sees that he's sad.
Are you crying?
Just fucking do it already.
Also, some of this shit makes no sense. Homelander has super hearing, but he can't hear all the boys fighting upstairs. Huey literally shoots MM, but he's fine afterwards. Also, no one fucking dies. Soldier Boy could have killed Frenchie in this episode, and Butcher could have killed Homelander too when he was in the uranium chamber. Starlight also goes on some side quest where she reunites with her father who abandoned her, and it's basically just a retread of the plot from season 4 where Huey met his mother. And was it really important to make Starlight's brother a huge gooner?
Wow.
Your picture was never up there.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Episode 5 is also shit. It's basically a POV episode, which, why are they doing this in the last season? There's also a super pointless supernatural reunion in this episode. So glad instead of progressing the story along, Kripke decided it was important to get Jared Padalecki and Misha Collins to share the screen with Jensen Ackles again, to remind people of his old show. I don't give a fuck about these actors sharing the screen together. You could have cut this out of the show and nothing would have changed. It's just Soldier Boy and Homelander going to find the V1, but it goes nowhere again. Mal Chemical just knocks out Homelander by breathing in his face, which makes you think, why didn't the boys ever grab that guy to stop Homelander? Soldier Boy flip-flops for no reason and decides he's gonna save his son even though he hates him.
Nobody fucks my son but me.
The real reason is because there's 3 episodes left. Also, in this episode, we get some backstory for Firecracker, and the show tries to make you feel bad for her. It shows that she's actually uncomfortable with Homelander calling himself God, and that she actually cares about Christianity and doesn't want to portray her old priest. I just thought Firecracker was a grifter who pretended to stand for Christian values when she really doesn't. And are we forgetting that Firecracker is a fucking pedophile?
You remember that magical summer when you was 28? Working as a counsellor at the Capes for Christ Bible Camp in Davie, Florida. And you met that lovely 15-year-old boy who tickled your fancy and, well, then tickled more than that, didn't he? You and your little Bieber in the back of your RAV4 in the car park of Book of the Beppo.
They really don't bring it up at all. How am I supposed to feel bad for her when Homelander kills her? If anything, I'm happy to see Homelander kill a pedophile. It's not that just the characters in the show forget she had sex with an underage boy. It seems like the show itself forgot that. I thought originally the show was commenting on how people don't care if a woman is grooming an underage boy, but it seems Eric Kripke himself doesn't care about male SA. In fact, Eric Kripke did say it was hilarious when Huey got sexually assaulted in season 4. What a piece of shit.
You're an insane, degenerate piece of filth, and you deserve to...
Also, they made Huey seem like the bad guy for having sex with the shapeshifter he thought was Starlight, even though, by definition, he was raped.
So you did fuck her?
I mean, you know.
How many times?
Had to be less than 20.
Oh my fucking god, I was gone for 10 days!
She almost always initiated, and again, I cannot overstate this enough. I thought it was you!
Yeah, and as long as you were getting laid, you didn't look too close. That's the Annie you want. Down to go down whenever, the perfect girl. Not someone who is depressed, or fucked up, or comes with any complications.
Yeah, Huey. Fuck you for getting raped. Speaking of Huey, he basically doesn't do that much this season. They've been ruining his character for a while. Remember when he was the main character of the show? To be fair, he hasn't been the main character since season 2. They just made it the Butcher and Homelander show because they became the faces of the boys. To talk about the other members of the boys, I absolutely can't stand Frenchie and Kimiko. I literally don't care about these two and hate every scene they have together. They always have some boring side plot every season, especially now that Kimiko is talking. She is super annoying. She talks like a has-been hotel character. She says fuck a lot, and she's always talking about some over-the-top sexual shit.
Fucking speech therapy and fucking therapy and so much fucking TikTok. I've been watching pornography and I'd like to try out some cunnilingus.
To be fair, that's every character at this point. Soldier Boy says shit like, I haven't felt like this since that time I ate Helen Keller's ass. And the Legend also talks like that too. This show does a lot of over-the-top sexual degeneracy for shock value. Like, we got a whole scene of Dogknot and She-Line sniffing each other's asses. We got Butcher's dog fantasizing about fucking Homelander. And we even got an old man whose power is that his balls are stretchy. They've done this joke already with Love Sausage. It's not funny again. At this point, it's just cringe seeing the show do something degenerate for the millionth time. It's just shock value for the sake of shock value. I honestly think Eric Kripke is getting off to this shit, and this is all his fetish. It's like that South Park joke about George R.R. Martin being obsessed with wieners, but actually accurate.
Wiener, 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 next to another wiener, 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 wiener. winners alongside yet another.
Speaking of more characters, let's talk about Starlight. Starlight is the biggest jobber ever. She loses every single fight. She always needs to be saved. She struggles to fight Allfather and Dognod. Even MM puts up a better fight against Soups, and he's a normal dude. I honestly don't really get what her powers do. She can fly now, which is cool, but she doesn't do anything useful. Ryan is also another character who does nothing. You'd expect him to have a big role in the season, but he's barely in it. He's been important to the show since season 2 and had a big role last season. Him being the son of Homelander, who was conceived due to Butcher's wife being raped by Homelander. We spend this series wondering if he's going to be the last hope to stop Homelander, or if he's going to become evil, just like his father. Well, he shows up in episode 3, where he fights his dad, who beats the shit out of him, reminding us of a much better Amazon Prime comic book show. He disappears in episode 4 and doesn't come back till the finale, where he rejects Homelander and then joins the fight against him. So glad they completely wasted this character who's been set up for so long just so they can advertise a spin-off and do more shock humor. You know what would have actually been interesting? If we had Ryan team up with Soldier Boy to kill Homelander. Just think about it. The only two people who Homelander actually cares about and who Homelander wants the approval of, being his father and his son, work together since they both hate Homelander and don't want him to be immortal. And this makes sense since Soldier Boy sees Homelander as a disappointment.
Look at you. Just the softest, wettest boy. You're pathetic. You're nothing at all.
And since Ryan is still a kid, he can make up for the mistake he felt Homelander was by taking him under his wing. Also, this duo, being as powerful as Homelander, would be able to put up a fight against Homelander. And Soldier Boy would most definitely be a terrible mentor to Ryan, maybe cause him to start becoming more like his grandfather, and the duo might get into conflict with the boys. Now, this could end with Ryan realizing Soldier Boy is just as bad as Homelander, and this could lead to them fighting and Ryan probably killing Soldier Boy. Or this could lead to Ryan actually looking up to Soldier Boy and Butcher could kill Soldier Boy, which makes Ryan hate Butcher. If I gotta talk about a character who was terrible in this season, I gotta say, it's Sister Sadie. What does she even do? Supposedly the smartest person in the world, doesn't do shit. End of season 4, she just goes up to Homelander and is like, everything that happened was all a part of my plan, which is just fucking bullshit.
Plan's dead.
This is the plan. I mean, sure, a few curveballs, but we got here. Just had to keep a few bits to myself. You know, the bits you'd fuck up by.
See, now that's some bullshit.
And the main problem with her character is that she's supposed to be smart, but is written by idiots. She's literally just a Redditor. Also, we finally learn her motivation, and it's so stupid. Her plan is for Soups and humans to kill each other, so the world can end and she can be alone, living in her bunker, reading books without anyone bothering her.
Helping Homelander take control of the country is phase 1. It was only ever the beginning. Phase 2 is the end. The end of what? The world. After this Soup-killing virus is released, after Soups realize humans are behind it, all hell will break loose. Soups butchering humans, virus butchering Soups.
Why would you possibly want that?
Because I'll be watching from my cozy bunker outside Colorado Springs. And when it's all over, I can read all day, every day. No one bothering me. Nothing but peace and quiet forever.
This is the single dumbest plan I've ever heard.
That is the worst motivation I've ever heard. I honestly couldn't believe that's what her actual motivation was when I heard it. They definitely didn't plan this from the start and just made this up last minute. Or maybe this was the plan all along because Eric Kripke is a complete hack. Sage tries to turn Soldier Boy against Homelander, but has the stupidest plan ever. So she learns from Ashley, who reads Soldier Boy's mind. Yes, she has mind-reading powers now, don't ask. That Soldier Boy is starting to come around on Homelander, now being proud of him and wanting to get him the V1.
You were right. He's thinking about helping Homelander. Like, he's kind of proud of him, but he doesn't want him to know that he's proud of him?
So her genius plan is to plant a laptop with that video of Homelander fucking Stormfront on her deathbed to make him hate Homelander now. So Sage calls Soldier Boy to bomb site and sends him their location to get the V1 from bomb site. So like I mentioned before, he got the V1 from bomb site and gave it to Homelander, and Sage is like, no, this wasn't supposed to happen.
I don't understand. He wasn't supposed to. It's impossible.
Bro, you can't convince me that Sage is the smartest person in the world. She's just retarded.
I'm kind of retarded.
What they're trying to do is the whole, she's so smart, but the only thing she can't understand is love. But as people have pointed out, in Season 4, one of Sage's special skills is listed as empathetic accuracy. So I guess the writers just forgot. After that, Sage ends up working with the boys, and after a shitty pep talk from Frenchie about Love Island, she helps them with their plan introduced in Episode 7 to give Kimiko the radiation blast powers Soldier Boy has. Yeah, they completely pulled this shit out of their asses all the way in the second last episode of the entire series, even though they haven't tried doing this at all, and ends up being what depowers Homelander in the end. Yeah, so after the million attempts to stop Homelander, they just come up with a new one last minute that ends up working. And it didn't seem that hard to do as well, since all they needed was the notes from the Russians and some supplies they had in their shitty base.
So, using the research we nicked from him a few donkeys back, me and Frenchie are doing the same thing to Kimiko. She gets Soldier Boy's power, she tip blasts Homelander. Bees and fucking honey.
After Frenchie dies, Sage rage baits Kimiko into using her powers on her, so she just becomes stupid, but, you know, seems the same, and fucks off to Orlando. I'm sorry. No. She should not be let off that easily. She is a terrible person and doesn't deserve to live. She was literally Homelander's right-hand man. She helped him with coming up with all the camps. She also caused a lot of innocent people to be killed and was ready to start a genocide. Also, like every other evil soup in the show, she's a rapist. So, for those of you who haven't seen Gen V, which you're not missing out on, Sage was fucking some dude who was possessed by Thomas Godolkin, while the guy had no control and couldn't consent to anything. And she knew the whole time about it too. Honestly, she deserved to get killed, or at least face consequences for all the evil shit she did. Another thing about this show that's always been a problem is that all the members of the boys have too much plot armor. There are so many times in the show where these characters should have died, especially Huey. Homelander could have killed him in Season 5, Episode 1, and there was a scene in Episode 3 where that bald bitch could have killed him, but Translucent's son was in front of him, so he dies instead. Another case of bullshit plot armor in this show is in the end of Episode 6, when Homelander gets the V. The boys are right there. Butcher says run, and the episode ends. So you'd expect the next episode to follow up on it, but no, episode 7 doesn't follow up on that ending, and the boys are just completely fine. So I guess they all managed to escape Homelander, or Homelander just flew away and left them there. Well, he does that a lot, so that wouldn't be surprising. At least show us what happened after that. I guess they couldn't come up with a possible explanation for both Homelander and the boys leaving without a fight, so they just didn't come up with anything. Honestly, it's so bullshit that Homelander didn't do anything after that scene. He'd at least want to kill Sage since she betrayed him. Episode 7 had some more bullshit. So Homelander finds the boys' base and Frenchie's alarm detects him coming, so he decides to hide Kimiko and Sage in a zinc covered wall since Homelander can't see through zinc. When Homelander arrives, he looks at the zinc wall wondering what's there, so Frenchie leads him to the uranium room. Frenchie turns on the uranium, then Homelander pokes him in the chest, killing him, which happens off screen and just leaves. Both Frenchie and Homelander are so stupid in this scene. What the fuck was the point in turning on the uranium? Homelander could just walk out easily, and French would just be killing himself for no reason. Also, why did Homelander just leave instead of searching the whole area for anyone else? He was already looking at the zinc wall. Why wouldn't he break the wall and search? Wouldn't he know that the perfect hiding place would be through something that is known that he can't see through? Is he stupid?
Hey, Deep. What can't I see through?
Zinc, Homelander.
Correct. And what's the box made of, Deep?
Zinc.
Correct, again.
Also, wouldn't he have heard Kimiko and Sage's heartbeats? And pretty nice of Homelander deciding to poke Frenchie in the chest just enough for him to die, but be alive for just a little bit to talk to Kimiko in his dying moments so he can say a corny line.
Thank you for saving me.
Okay, you saved me.
Even though Homelander has consistently been shown to instantly laser people to death.
I swear.
She just wanted some help tracking.
Something I want to talk about briefly is the Gen V characters. Marie and Jordan show up for 2 minutes in episode 7 where Starlight basically tells them to leave.
Pack it up, you guys are done.
Well, I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
It's over, okay? So just tell those other guys to run while they can, however they can, yeah?
Hold on, that's it? Aren't you the one who recruited us to fight your fucking fight?
But they come back in the last episode to transport people targeted by Homelander to Canada. That was it. Now, as one of the 7 people who actually watched Gen V, in the 2nd season, it is established that Marie is as powerful as Homelander as she comes from the Odessa Project, which is also where Homelander came from.
Marie, please. You know you're different. You feel it. Don't you?
Why the fuck should I be different than anyone else?
The Odessa program. It was the brainchild of Thomas Godolkin, going all the way back to the 1960s. His goal was to create god-tier superheroes, stronger, more powerful than the rest. It didn't work at first. Over the years, only 2 subjects have survived. You, of course, Marie. And in the 80s, Homelander.
And she learns to control her powers at the end of that season. The show also ends with Starlight recruiting all the Gen V characters to join the Resistance in a very corny scene. But now Starlight doesn't want them involved and tells Marie she can't control her powers.
What good's all that power, Marie, if you can't control it?
What? These guys would all be useful against Homelander. Hell, all of them even have better powers than Starlight. I don't get what the point was in setting up Marie to be as powerful as Homelander and to even be a possible weapon against him just for her to do nothing. Couldn't we at least give her a rematch with Homelander or give them some sort of confrontation? Why didn't the boys use Marie at all against Homelander? Wouldn't she be able to drain the V out of Homelander's blood? And they don't even mention her being created in the same lab as Homelander in this season. Also, what about Kate? She would be so useful since she literally has the power to mind control people just by touching, which the boys can use to stop Homelander. But she doesn't even show up, even though she was also recruited to the Resistance. I know people would say that it would take away from the show if they had characters from the spin-off show have a big role in the final season, but then just don't make them seem so important that it breaks the show for them to not be included. They should have just kept Gen V as its own thing, completely disconnected from the boys other than taking place in the same universe. Recently, Season 3 of Gen V got cancelled. I see people were actually upset by this, but I didn't get why. Gen V sucked. It had everything wrong about the boys in it, with the constant gore and degeneracy, without any interesting characters. I also just assumed that there wasn't going to be a Season 3 of Gen V, and that they were going to end all their stories in The Boys Season 5, but they ended up not doing that. So even though I didn't like Gen V, I do feel bad for the people who actually like the show, having their favorite characters not get a proper send-off. Now, I'm going to get into my major problems with Homelander. Homelander is definitely the most interesting character in the show. He's been the show's main villain for 5 seasons, and my pal Anthony Starr's acting as Homelander is just nothing short of amazing.
I see you got the extra whipped cream in there, huh?
Yeah.
Yummers. Guess you wanted to cram in as much fat fuck as possible, huh?
I cannot put into words how great he is. He's been carrying the show with his acting for 7 years, but it's too bad that Eric Kripke is completely terrible at writing. My main problem with Homelander is he's not an intimidating villain anymore. He's just a joke. In the first season, Homelander was actually terrifying and intimidating. Every scene he was in, you never knew what was going to happen. They just make Homelander more and more pathetic as the show goes on. Now he wants to arrest people over memes.
Have you seen the memes? Have you seen the memes about me? Posting them should be a crime.
Yes, but we can't go... Oh, you're serious.
There's a scene where Homelander is threatening all the actors at Mr. Marathon's house, and he's like, "I've seen the memes you made of me." And he just comes off as such a bitch.
I heard you all, and I want you all to know that very soon, gentlemen, you are going to pay for your sick posts and your hateful memes, especially the memes.
Gonna cry? Having the main villain of your series being so pathetic doesn't make me think, wow, look how much of a pathetic loser he is. I'm more thinking, why did it take 5 seasons for our main character to defeat him? It makes me think less of the boys because of how long it takes them to defeat such a jackass. Especially since they introduce a new weakness for Homelander every other episode. They introduced Soldier Boy, who can depower Homelander. They established uranium can also kill Homelander. Malchemical was able to knock out Homelander by breathing in his face. They have a soup virus that can be used to kill Homelander along with many other soups. Butcher has powers now, and he's probably strong enough to take on Homelander. They set up Marie Moreau to be as powerful as Homelander, so she could have killed Homelander too. Queen Maeve would have probably been able to take on Homelander before she got her powers taken away from her. Hell, she was shown to make Homelander bleed. If they trained Ryan enough, he could have had a chance to kill Homelander too. And at the end of the show, they're just able to recreate Soldier Boy's power. This is just a show where the heroes and villains are completely incompetent, so the show can go on for 5 seasons. When Homelander gets to the V1 at the end of episode 6, you expect him to finally do something, but he basically does nothing. All he does is come up with a theme park and sit at the Oval Office. He kills the president, but we don't see any of the ramifications of that. In fact, so many people die, but we don't see any ramifications from it. Remember in season 1 how we spent time seeing Vought cover up Translucent's death?
I'm sorry. I asked for Translucent.
Right, but Translucent is on a secret undercover mission right now.
You'd expect that Homelander would start taking over the country after killing the president, but all he does is ban abortion and nut milk.
Issue an executive order banning abortion. Also, breastfeeding is now mandatory. Babies need their mothers, not fake milk. Actually, outlaw that too.
Sure.
Ban nut milk.
Why would Homelander even care about abortion? He has O-Father present a screening to an audience of a movie where Homelander becomes God. So he's assembled a group of telepaths to read their minds to see if they accept Homelander as their god, and he orders O-Father to get Dognot and She-Line to kill everyone who doesn't see him as God.
How many believed in their hearts that I am indeed the one true God? 6. Give him the full VIP experience.
Why doesn't Homelander just kill all of them himself instead of getting some C-tier soups to do his dirty work? He can just fly over to the studio and laser all the people in the room and then leave. It would be easy for him to do that. Homelander's whole thing in this season is that after getting a wet dream of Madeline Stillwell as an angel, Homelander wants to be God and have everyone else see him as a god. To be seen as a god, Homelander wants to get the V1 to become immortal. And no, he doesn't want to be a god, he wants to be the literal Christian god. He's already been shown to have people worship him. Now he wants them to worship him even more. This all leads to nothing and would be more interesting if Homelander stopped caring about people loving him and deciding to have the world fear him instead. But no, it's the same shit after all this talk about going Homelander doesn't do anything other than kill his own teammates. After the Flight 37 video getting leaked, we could have gotten Homelander full on trying to take over the world and going on a killing spree. But no, that would be too interesting. I hate to glaze the comic, but at least in that, Homelander's not the actual main villain, and it was Black Noir who did most of the fucked shit Homelander was accused of doing, and he was framing him the whole time. Homelander really is potential villain. There's so many points in the show where Homelander could kill any of the members of the boys, but he just doesn't. Why did he keep Huey, MM, and Frenchie alive for a year in that camp without killing them? He had no reason not to kill them other than for the plot. Also, there's a point in episode 7 where a telepath working for Homelander has Huey and Butcher tied up in a room in Vought Studios, but Homelander doesn't kill them.
We have detained Billy Butcher and Hugh Campbell.
They are here at the studio.
You want us to kill Butcher and Campbell?
No.
Get Sage's location first.
The problem with Homelander now is that Kripke doesn't want to make him an actual intimidating villain, and instead just wants to make him a Trump parody. Look, I'm all for shitting on Trump. I think he's disgusting. I think he's a pedophile. I think he's a rapist. I think he's a fascist. The problem with having Homelander be Trump is that they can't actually make Homelander complex. Instead, they have to just make him as pathetic as possible and have him be a complete loser, just like the person he's based on. Trump is a complete idiot, so he doesn't work as a main antagonist of a series we're supposed to take seriously, because then the villain is just a complete incompetent jackass. The reason why South Park's parody of Trump worked better is because the show is just a full-on comedy through and through, and they have Trump do crazy shit like getting the devil pregnant and having gay sex with JD Vance. Also, the difference between South Park and The Boys is that South Park is actually funny, and Trey Parker and Matt Stone are actually good writers, unlike Eric Kripke. Homelander in the first season was a much more complex and nuanced character with an actual tragic backstory that doesn't excuse his actions, but has us understand how he became so evil. And just making him an analog for Trump ruins all of that. It's clear to me that Eric Kripke's main goal of the show is not to tell a good story, but to instead shit on conservatives and own the chuds. You know that meme, which funnily enough has Homelander on it, when someone has the exact same opinion as you, but they express it in such an annoying and an obnoxious way that you low-key don't want to agree? Yeah, that's how I feel about this show. The political satire of the show is just so poorly written, ham-fisted, and not subtle at all.
Could be a moocher from the welfare state, or your teacher who tries to indoctrinate. A socialist who says the stars and stripes aren't great.
Could be the scientist who makes vaccines.
The guy with the beard who's a beauty queen. The immigrant who keeps your apartment clean.
It feels like Kripke is using his political opinions as a shield for criticism. Oh, you don't like the show? Well, you must be a chud we offended. Vought used to be a parody of mega corporations like Disney, but it just represents MAGA now. I guess since the show is owned by Amazon, they had to stop criticizing corporations. I see so many people jerk the show off about how it keeps predicting reality with Trump posting an image of himself as Jesus, like how Homelander sees himself as God in this series, and it's just like, wow, they predicted that the most narcissistic man in the world would start seeing himself as God. It really takes a genius to figure that out. I also just want to say how I find it interesting how the show satirizes everything in politics, but won't criticize Israel. Could this be because Frenchie's actor was a former Israeli soldier who bragged about kidnapping girls?
He is the greatest Israeli soldier the world has ever known.
Or could this be because Eric Kripke supports Israel? Now, I'm gonna talk about some more dumb shit that happens in the show. There's this subplot of the Deep and Black Noir beefing. The Deep kills Adam Bork, so Black Noir decides to destroy the Deep's oil pipeline, killing 1.4 billion fish.
I flew up to Alaska, swam down in your dumb pipeline and punched a hole in it. You killed Adam Bork, so I killed a bunch of porpoises or whatever.
I killed one dude. You killed 1.4 billion fish, motherfucker!
Kinda an overreaction. Also, wasn't Bork like a sex pest too?
Is he making you uncomfortable? Like, you can tell me you won't get in trouble.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I know the Deep was also, but like, you know, rapist killing rapist, you know, whatever. So the Deep kills Black Noir by choking him with a podcast wire and then stabbing him in the neck. Isn't Black Noir bulletproof? How is a knife able to kill him? Also, this is Black Noir 2. He can fly. Why didn't he just fly up? This happens a lot where the show doesn't have the budget to get Supes to have an actual fight. So we get one Supe sneaking up on another and knocking them out. Like I said before, the same thing happens again with Homelander and Soldier Boy in episode 7. I'm so glad we got a scene of Dognaught and She-Line sniffing each other's asses and a supernatural reunion that didn't contribute to the plot instead of actual cool fight scenes. Speaking of Black Noir, a lot of people were mad because they wanted them to do the comic twist of Black Noir being a Homelander clone. I don't know why people wanted that. Wasn't it hated in the comic? I don't know. I haven't read the comic. It might have actually worked in the story with the context. I don't know. And if they were going to do the twist in the show, it should have been the plan from the start, because if they didn't have it for the entire series and then did it for the last season, that would be so rushed and make no sense. Like I mentioned before, the point of the Black Noir Homelander clone twist was that Black Noir would do a bunch of fucked up shit while dressed up as Homelander and took pictures of it that were used to blackmail Homelander to make him go crazy, since Black Noir was made as a contingency to kill Homelander if he ever went crazy. Black Noir did this because he wanted to rush Homelander going crazy so he can kill him, because without that, he'd have no purpose. In the show, Homelander is the actual person doing all this evil shit, so what would be the purpose of revealing that Black Noir got replaced with a Homelander clone? Like, what would that be there for? When the Homelander in the show is basically an amalgamation of comic Black Noir and himself from the comics. If they did that twist in the final season of the show with absolutely no buildup and without that being the plan from the start, then it would be worse than the twist was in the comics, especially if Black Noir wasn't a Homelander clone in the first 4 seasons and only in the last season. Something I also want to talk about is that I feel like this show is barely a satire of superheroes now and is more just a satire of politics. Remember when this show made fun of tropes in superhero movies and comics? Now they barely do that. The only times I can think of this season is when they go to Mr. Marathon's house and they made fun of the Sony Spider-Man villain movies like Venom, Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter.
Hey, check this one. Gross 35 mil. A $200 million budget. These aren't even Vought films. What's the difference? These were made where washed up Supes go to die. Sony Pictures TV.
It's a legit studio. And I save half on their TVs. And maybe we're not part of the official VCU, and maybe we can't mention Vought or any licensed Vought hero. But hey, still making magic.
They're kind of late to that since that universe ended 2 years ago. I guess that's what happens when your show is written 2 years before it gets filmed. Speaking of dated references, they made a hilarious Dune popcorn bucket joke with the Deep. They do realize that movie came out almost 5 years ago, right? And Deadpool 3 already beat them with this joke with that movie's popcorn bucket 2 years ago. Going back to what I was talking about before, the only other time in this season when they did anything to satirize the superhero genre is the parody they did of the poster to James Gunn's Superman with Homelander instead. I feel like this show has kind of lost the point of being a satire of the superhero genre. They forgot the 7 are based on the Justice League, since the original Justice League team had 7 members. I guess they still are. They got a Superman, Batman, and Aquaman, but now they got a Captain America, a shitty version of Jubilee, and whatever the hell Sister Sage is supposed to be. At this point, they're not the Justice League anymore. They're just the Republican Party. I don't even see Homelander as an evil Superman anymore. He's just Trump with powers. I saw a theory that they're going to have Mr. Marathon be based on Ezra Miller, and that would have been a good idea. The whole stuff with Ezra Miller being a complete psychopath, while Warner Brothers still had to release the Flash movie he was starring in, was insane. And they could have easily parodied that, but they didn't do any of that. I mean, to be honest, maybe it's a good thing we didn't get that many new superhero parodies in this season, because all the writers can come up with is making them rapists or sexual degenerates. Look at Tech Knight in season 4. They just did the whole "what if Batman molested his sidekicks" thing. And they also made him a racist too, as the cherry on top. And it was just so lame.
The Vernon family started out as slave catchers. You know, I bet A-Train here would have given my great-great-granddaddy a run for his money.
Oh.
Huh? But we would have caught you.
100 million to Black Lives Matter.
No, not those people! Fuck you! Fuck you! No, wait!
To talk about some more dumb shit, in episode 7, the team decides to go to Vought Studios to see what Father is up to, but they're not wearing disguises, I guess. Annie was wearing a hat, but that's not enough since she's public enemy number 1. But Butcher's just in there in his signature trench coat, not trying to hide at all. So yeah, Butcher and Huey obviously get kidnapped as Vought Studios is swarmed with a bunch of mind readers. What was their plan?
This is the single dumbest plan I've ever heard.
So the two of them end up handcuffed in a room by this one telepath named Synapse. So in the room with Butcher and Huey, Synapse turns into Conquest to remind us that Butcher is evil.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
And it's like, yeah, we know. They reveal Butcher got a bunch of his soldiers killed in the army.
We were there to take out this mid-level ISIS clown. Got this call that this asshat had 100 men that were minutes behind us. Now, any sane command leader, they'd pull their men out, make sure they were safe, but not Billy, no. See, Billy got that little glint in his eye. Wouldn't give the order, so I got in his face. I screamed at him, "Target's not worth it." But Billy didn't budge. Good news is that old Butcher, he got his target. The issue was that Billy was the only member of the unit to walk out of there alive.
But it's like, we already know Butcher is a bad person. We didn't need this. We've seen him do evil shit. Like, he literally tried to blow up a baby at the end of the first season.
This guy was going to kill himself, a woman, and her newborn baby in an attempt to make Homelander slightly upset.
This is just so lame how they gotta tell us that Butcher's evil instead of him just being evil this season. Like, this doesn't change anything. Dewey already knows Butcher is a piece of shit, and this doesn't even make him trust Butcher less. This is just a lazy way of setting up the eventual Butcher and Huey confrontation in the finale, when they should have instead went forward with the ending of season 4, setting up Butcher on his own being a villain now. They want to have it both ways, where they have Butcher be an irredeemable villain, but also a sympathetic anti-hero at the same time, since they don't have the balls to commit to one. I guess I'll talk about MM too, since that's the only member of the boys I haven't gotten into. It's probably because he's the only member that isn't completely insufferable like Frenchie and Kimiko, or written inconsistently like Butcher, Huey, and Annie. He's just fine. I don't really have problems with him this season. They made him on Butcher's side, agreeing that Soups have to go. He's now a lot like Butcher, more cynical and bloodthirsty.
Look what you did to MM.
Fuck did he do to me?
He dragged you down in the shit with him, and the worst part, you let him do it, you fucking pussy. You've just been going along with it again.
We can't take the risk, Huey. And if she has to be collateral damage so that Homelander dies and my daughter lives, we ain't got no fucking choice. You either help us, or I cut your fucking balls off.
You sound like Butcher now. You know that? It's not a great look for you, kid.
He is mainly evil throughout the season, but in episode 7, he just goes back to being good out of nowhere. Annie is talking about how she shouldn't save the people who believe in Homelander, and MM is just like, no, you can't do that. I love saving people. And he tells her the story about how he got the name Mother's Milk from saving a dying pigeon, and after that he started enjoying caring about people, so he just goes back to being the good old Mother's Milk off screen. Something they basically ignored in this season was the rivalry between MM and Soldier Boy. In season 3, MM's whole arc was about going after Soldier Boy since Soldier Boy killed his grandfather. Now Soldier Boy's back, but MM doesn't seem to care that much anymore. Like, imagine a confrontation between them. Maybe MM could have been the one to kill Soldier Boy, but, you know, they made MM's main rival Love Sausage now, forgetting about his rivalry with Soldier Boy because Soldier Boy's main purpose in this season is to set up Vought Rising. Now, before I talk about the finale, I'll mention the few things in this season that I actually liked. I liked the whole storyline with A-Train in the first episode. His redemption arc was also one of the best parts about season 4. He was a character who started out as a villain, but over the course of the series, he became more sympathetic and ended up being a better person. He ends up saving Huey, and he also stops himself from killing another woman the same way he killed Robin. Now, even though he became a better person, it doesn't excuse all his actions, because he still was a bad person who did a lot of irredeemable stuff. I like how A-Train and Huey became the inverse of Homelander and Butcher, where instead of revenge consuming Huey, Huey stays a good person and eventually forgives A-Train and moves on. Of course, Butcher's beef with Homelander is much different than Huey's with A-Train, since Homelander raped Butcher's wife, which was obviously intentional, while A-Train killed Robin by accident. But it still does show the difference between Huey and Butcher. Huey stays a good person throughout the show, and Butcher is a bad person who is filled with hate. The fight between Homelander and A-Train was cool, and the only good action scene we got in this season. And the way A-Train went out was great. There are problems with this scene, though. It establishes that A-Train has Quicksilver-like time-stopping abilities, which kind of breaks the whole show. Also, we see Homelander is as fast as A-Train, which ends up making the finale a lot dumber. To talk about other things I actually really love the Deep. Like, he is such a terrible and pathetic person, but Chase Crawford plays him so well and is just so funny and charming. I just love seeing the Deep doing the dumbest shit. I'll admit he's not written the best, but Chase Crawford sells the role and is just fun to watch. I've seen people fan cast him as Booster Gold, and I just want to say, yes, I need that. James Gunn, please make it happen. I also liked Oldfather. Daveed Diggs is great and so charismatic. I love the way he talks.
He is not just a man. He's not just a Superman. He is the prophet of the Lord!
My only problem with his character is that he wasn't in the show earlier. He was much better than Ezekiel. Raise Him Up is also a fire song, even though I don't want to sing it because I feel like that would get me striked down by God. I don't think I need to say this, but obviously my boy Anthony Starr's act is great in this season, like always, and he plays Homelander so well. It's a shame, though, that he's written by Eric Kripke. A lot of this show is great actors with terrible writers. I also like the scene where the Legend talks to Homelander. It was actually really nice to see a scene humanizing Homelander as he talks to someone who understands why he is the way he is. And it's great to see Homelander talk to someone who's not scared of him and who treats him like a person.
There's a natural order to things. And the more you fight the inevitable, the more the inevitable just hunts you. Yep.
You're not scared of me.
No, I'm not scared of you. I feel for you, kid. I do. I mean, you're a whack job, but you know, that's talent. So, no surprise there.
And I like how Homelander let him live, and the Legend was smart enough to leave without saying anything, unlike Firecracker.
You can go.
I can go?
Leave no words. Just go. Now. Go. Now.
Yeah.
Now, let me get into the finale. Honestly, this season was so bad that there was no way the finale could save the show. When I first saw the finale, I thought it wasn't that bad, but the more I kept thinking about it, the more I hated it. I could not imagine how disappointed it would have been to see this in theaters. Yes, they actually released the finale in theaters. There was no way in hell I was gonna pay money to go see that in theaters when I could just watch it at home. And I knew it wouldn't have been good anyways. Let me also talk about the posters for this season, which were complete false advertising. There's one of Homelander in space looking down at an Earth being destroyed, one of Butcher standing with a destroyed Vought tower behind him, and one of Butcher walking to the White House with a bunch of superheroes flying above it with Homelander front and center, mimicking the comic panel. Literally none of this happened. Looking at the posters, we expected this to be what the finale would be like, you know. But what we actually got was so much lamer. I'm sorry, you can't be mad at us for having these expectations for the finale when this was the marketing. So the first scene of the finale is Frenchie's funeral, where Huey reads off Frenchie's last will and testimony, where he talks about how he's seen every member of the team's assholes.
I am reminded that I do have something to give you. The knowledge that I have seen each and every one of your assholes.
Excuse me?
We're really doing this in the beginning of the finale. A moment that should be serious being interrupted by a joke about assholes. Come on, man. What, is a 12-year-old writing this? Like I mentioned before, the Gen V characters appear so they can fuck off to Canada. I also find it funny how only Marie, Jordan, and Emma show up, and they were only able to get the female Jordan. I guess the male Jordan didn't want to come back, which is funny. Where the hell are Kate and Sam? They also joined the Resistance at the end of Gen V Season 2. Why aren't they here? They would also be useful. I guess it would have been awkward for Kimiko to see them again after the last time they met. Also, we meet this billionaire character who is a not-so-subtle parody of Elon Musk. And all that happens is Homelander flies him up to space, killing him.
What did you... He's an astronaut. I took him to space.
And let's keep in mind how fast Homelander was able to fly that billionaire up in space, because this will be important later on. Speaking of Elon Musk, he actually replied to a tweet about The Boys finale, calling it pathetic, and Kripke responded to it saying, "Oh my god, this is his review of what The Boys did to Homelander? I'll never get a better review ever." This whole thing is just Eric Kripke and Elon Musk fighting over who's the bigger loser. And they're both winning. This just shows how Kripke doesn't actually care about telling a good story and is instead focused on pissing off his political enemies who aren't going to watch the show anyways. So, will this episode be where we finally see Homelander snap and start killing a bunch of people? You guys all know the answer is no. He spends most of the episode sitting at the desk in the Oval Office giving his speech until Butcher shows up to fight him.
Daddy's home.
We get a moment where he's reading off his teleprompter, then he sees the words father and children, which makes him think of his dad and his son, who both hate him.
For I am your...
So he gets all depressed and goes off script and gives his evil speech.
But no matter what I do,
Some of you people will never accept me into your hearts. Never love me.
never believe in me. And to such heretics I offer oblivion.
This would be the perfect moment for him to just leave his chair and go on a rampage, since he realizes no one will accept him as God. But no, Butcher just shows up and they have their fight, because we can't have Homelander actually be an intimidating villain. Anthony Starr was saying how Homelander was going to do the most fucked up, irredeemable thing he's ever done in this season.
I think the most fucked up thing Homelander did is in season 5, which I can't spoil, obviously. I can't wait for you to see that.
Listen, Anthony, I love you, but what the hell were you talking about here? That does not happen. did it get cut out? You see, this kind of stuff is why people are mad that Homelander didn't do anything crazy this season, because they keep on teasing it. And that whole scene where Homelander imagines himself killing a crowd is the most crazy thing we saw him do in the show, and it didn't actually happen. We should have seen Homelander actually do something to pay off all they've teased. There was a rumor I heard about Homelander ripping a baby out of a pregnant woman, but that does not happen. Like, that would have been such a dark and shocking scene that shows how far Homelander has gone off the deep end, but we can't have that. Okay, the boys' plan in this episode is to break into the White House so they can have Kimiko use her blast on Homelander. You're probably thinking, how are they gonna manage to break into the most secure place in America? They're probably gonna have trouble trying to do that. Well, it's actually easy for them since they have the blueprints for the underground JFK fuck tunnels to the White House, which they got from when they were protecting Bob Singer in the last season.
And how do we get in?
Underground tunnel. The off-the-books one that JFK used to shake Maryland.
We have to imagine the secret presidential fuck tunnels must be pretty secure.
True, but I still got the blueprints from last year when we did protection for Singer. Every door code, every entrance.
Wouldn't they have lost those blueprints when they all got arrested? I guess, bro. To be fair, though, they do get trapped in the tunnel where a soup dog whistle goes off and it turns shoots at them, but Ashley saves them. I guess this scene was made to justify Ashley being in the show for this long. They all get separated. Huey and MM get trapped in a room with O-Father. You might think, since these are the only members of the boys left without powers, this might be hard for them. Well, you're wrong, because Huey and MM both actually do have a superpower, and that power is called plot armor. So they get out of this easy. MM discovers Chekhov's ball gag and covers O-Father's mouth with it when he's about to use his powers on Huey, which kills O-Father. How could MM possibly know that would work? Also, wouldn't MM also get whiplash from this, or wouldn't he get hit in the face with O-Father's bone chunks? He's just perfectly fine and covered in blood after that. Starlight and the Deep get into a fight, and Starlight flies the Deep into the beach. Why would she take him there? That's the worst place to take him, since he's the most powerful in the ocean and he can probably control a shark to kill Starlight. I know at this point in the show, the fish all hate the Deep and want him dead.
Shut the fuck up. We know you were responsible for the pipeline genocide. Remember March 15th, motherfucker?
No, wait, that wasn't me, man.
If you step 1 foot, one fucking stupid ass simian toe in the water, anywhere, an ocean, a stream, a fucking puddle, on God, son, you're dead. We're gonna kill you.
But Starlight doesn't know that. Starlight blasts him into the ocean, which is also stupid of her to do for the reasons I mentioned previously. And the fish all swarm him, and he gets impaled by an octopus. What's weird about this scene is the fish are all chanting justice for Ambrosius.
Justice for Ambrosius!
So sorry.
Say her name! Fuck! Say her name!
Even though that's not the reason why they were mad at the Deep. They were mad at him for the pipeline disaster that he didn't even cause. Also, how would they even know about Ambrosius? No one was there when he killed her. Alright, let me get into the big fight of the episode, which the series has been leading up to. Butcher versus Homelander. Oh, and Kimiko and Ryan are here too. Yeah, this fight sucks. Butcher comes in saying,
Scorched earth.
Yeah, scorched earth, more like scorched carpet. All this build up for a shitty fight in the Oval Office. The worst part about this fight is how much Homelander was nerfed here. He's shown to be as fast as A-Train, and even in this exact episode, he was able to be fast enough to fly up into space in like a minute. Probably less than that. Now he's not fast enough to avoid Butcher's tentacles or avoid Ryan flying into him. Also, another thing that's stupid is in the first episode of Season 5, he cuts Kimiko in half with his lasers. In this fight, he lasers Kimiko again, but all it does is leave a minor burn in her chest and push her back. So nice of Homelander to set his lasers to stun mode so Kimiko can get back up faster, giving them a fair fight. So this all leads to Kimiko using her chest blast to depower Homelander, but she's having a little trouble finding the rage to do it. But then she imagines Frenchie, who tells her that rage is not what makes her strong, and to use her heart instead.
Rage is not what makes you strong. It has never been mon cœur. It has always been yours.
Holy shit, that has to be the corniest shit ever.
Oui, mon cœur, we must use the children as the human shields. Glory to Israel.
This is the type of thing this show would make fun of. Homelander literally gets defeated by the power of love. This show is the most cynical thing ever.
Doesn't matter.
And now it's trying to be earnest. That is so lame. This gotta be the cringiest scene in the entire show. What's even stupider is that Butcher and Ryan are able to hold down Homelander so Kimiko can use the blast on him. Even though he wasn't able to be held down by Butcher with the powers of Homelander, Soldier Boy, and a superpowered Huey, he was able to just fly away before he got blasted by Soldier Boy. This just goes to show how much Homelander has been nerfed for this fight. Now Homelander is depowered along with Butcher and Ryan, so Butcher has the upper hand. We see Homelander try to use his laser eyes and fly away, but both don't work. So Butcher beats the shit out of Homelander, and now Homelander's crying and begging like a bitch. He says he'll give Butcher Vought or get a shapeshifter to pretend to be Becca.
I'll give you Vought. You can do whatever you want with it. Hey, Becca! You want your wife back? I'll have a shapeshifter be her.
And then he says he'll suck Butcher's dick and eat his shit.
I'll fucking suck your dick, please! I'll do anything! You want me to eat shit? I'll eat your fucking shit!
I've seen people defending the scene, but it's just so immature. This is the most I portrayed myself as the Chad and my political enemies as the Soy Jack scene I've ever seen. This scene is just Eric Kripke's revenge fantasy, something the Boys comics were criticized for being.
Garth Ennis hates superheroes, so he wrote a power fantasy about people not dressed in costumes ripping apart nerds with their bare hands.
They really just thought, how can we make our main villain pathetic? I know, let's make him say he'll suck dick. I'm sorry, imagine if in the finale of Invincible and the big fight between Thrag and Mark, Thrag says,
I'll fucking suck your dick!
When Mark is about to kill him. It's just so lame that in the final fight of your series with the main villain, to have him say he'll suck dick and eat shit. Wow, you made your main villain that it took the main character's 5 seasons to be completely pathetic by saying he'll suck dick. That is amazing storytelling. Also, I feel like Homelander would rather die than live the rest of his life without powers. Homelander did deserve to be humiliated before dying, but come on, this shit is just stupid. So yeah, obviously Butcher kills Homelander by stabbing him in the head with a crowbar. I've seen people say that they should have kept Homelander alive without powers, even though I do agree that it would be a worse fate for Homelander to live the rest of his life without powers instead of dying. I do think Homelander had to die at the end of the series. If the show ended with Homelander still alive, it would feel underwhelming. And yeah, obviously Butcher had to be the one to kill him. Butcher killing Homelander was all on camera, so everyone saw the whole fight, and Homelander was humiliated live. The thing though is Homelander died not knowing this, so he didn't really feel the humiliation of that. What they should have done was have Homelander be alive without powers longer, and have him see everyone on Earth turn on him, so he can actually be humiliated before dying and suffer a much worse fate, instead of having him say,
I'll fucking suck your dick!
What I don't like about the scene where Butcher kills Homelander is that it's treated like this heroic moment. Yeah, Homelander was a terrible person and had to die, but Butcher isn't a hero for killing him. He's a bloodthirsty maniac who executed a dude on live television because he loves violence. They even have him saying,
This is for my Becca,
before he kills Homelander, which completely misses the point of Butcher's character. He's not doing this for Becca. He's doing this to fulfill his bloodlust. Also, they didn't win by killing Homelander, because at the end of the series, Vought is still running, and they get away with everything. Vought created Homelander and turned him into what he is. They are responsible for all his actions. We literally get a episode in season 4 where Homelander goes back to the laboratory that he was tortured in. Now, this doesn't excuse Homelander, but the truth is Homelander is a rabid dog, and Vought is his abusive owner. And like Butcher mentions later, Vaught's just gonna make the next Homelander.
As long as there's Vought, there'll be Soups, and sooner or later, some cunt that's already out there becomes the next Homelander, and you fucking know it.
Vought is the real villain of the series, not Homelander, but no, we can't have them be defeated because this show is owned by Amazon. So after Homelander dies, Butcher asks Ryan to live with him, but Ryan doesn't want to since Butcher's evil.
We could find somewhere quiet. Start again. Just you, me, and Tara.
I know what my dad was, and it's better that he's gone. But you're not a good person either. I didn't choose you over him. I chose myself. I'm sorry, but I don't want a fresh start with you. I want this to be the end.
Then Butcher finds his dog Terror dead, so with nothing to live for, Butcher takes a vial of the soup virus and goes to Vought Tower to release it. Huey realizes what Butcher is gonna do, so he goes to Vought Tower to stop Butcher. Is it just that easy to break into Vought Tower? This leads to Butcher and Huey getting into a fight. Butcher's about to release the virus, but he stops when he sees his dead brother in Huey, and then Huey shoots him. This fight just feels rushed and unearned. They said they planned for this scene to be the ending from the start, but I don't believe them. I think it's the fact that the show doesn't want to commit to evil Butcher that makes this turn feel very rushed. Now, of course, what Butcher is doing is bad because it's literal genocide, but every soup in the show, except Starlight and Kimiko, is either a rapist or a psychopath. So, like, I kind of want all of them to die. And what's Huey's plan to stop Vought? He gets offered by the president a job where they can stop soups, but he turns it down.
Vought is a clusterfuck right now.
All those beat up nut jobs they cooked up are running loose doing God knows what. So we're
Putting the Bureau of Soup Affairs back on its feet.
We need someone to run it. So what do you say, son? You'll be reporting directly to me.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I really appreciate the offer. It's just I actually have my own startup venture I'm working on.
What they should have done was have the second last episode be Homelander's death and have the finale be Butcher versus Huey. And they could have used the finale to show how evil Butcher has gotten to make it so that Huey has to take him out. I will say that I haven't read the comics, but from what I heard, I think the comics did this ending better. In the comics, they fully committed to having Butcher be the final villain. He kills Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kimiko because they would have stopped him. And he even kills Love Sausage, who in the comics is one of the good soups. And when Huey kills Butcher in the comic, what happens is they get into a fight and Butcher gets impaled. The police show up and Butcher doesn't want to go to jail and rather die. He rage baits Huey by telling him he killed his parents so that Huey could kill Butcher. Maybe what they could have done in the show is have Butcher kill all the characters from Gen V to show how evil he's gotten, and you know, we know they're not coming back. What they also could have done is have Ryan turn evil in the end of the show. They can have him join Vought to be the next Homelander, or he could do some evil stuff that he was influenced to do from Soldier Boy. That would be a good subversion of the superhero genre, like what the show used to be. Speaking of Ryan, people have pointed out that he shouldn't have lost his powers from Kimiko's blast, since he doesn't have Compound V in him, because he was the first natural-born soup. I guess they just forgot. So at the end, we get kind of an epilogue for every character. MM adopts Ryan, which came out of nowhere. I don't think these two have ever talked at all in the series. I know there was a scene in season 4 where Butcher says he wants MM to adopt Ryan if he dies.
Emma, I've got a favour to ask. If I can't get the job done before I need you to get Ryan away from Homelander. Oh, Butcher. Get him out of there. Raise him.
Raise him?
You're the best dad I know him. Best fucking anyone.
But why would that mean Ryan agrees to be being adopted by He doesn't like Butcher, so why would he want to live with one of Butcher's friends? Kimiko goes to France, and we see Huey now owns the tech store from the first episode with Annie, who's pregnant now. And we find out that they're naming the kid Robin.
Take care of your mom, Robin.
I'm sorry. That's really weird to name your child after your dead ex-girlfriend. You cannot convince me that it's not. And Starlight goes to fight crime while pregnant, which can't be safe for the baby. Yeah, so that's it. The Boys is over, and yeah, this show fell off so hard. This new season is complete garbage, and I actually think less of you if you thought it was good. The show may have been good at some point, but it ended off so terrible. This didn't even feel like a final season till the last episode. That's how much of a failure it was. I haven't seen Game of Thrones or the final season of Stranger Things, so I don't know if this finale is as bad as those finales, but it's up there with some of the worst finales in TV history. Honestly, I'm just gonna say that I absolutely hate Eric Kripke. And no, not just as a writer, even though I do think he's a terrible writer. I also hate him as a person. Especially the disgusting thing he said about Huey getting assaulted. This guy just comes off as such a smug asshole who can't take any criticism and cares more for shitting on his political enemies instead of actually telling a good story. Eric Kripke should never write again.
I have never had less respect for anyone in my life. In fact, Kevin, the only reason that I haven't fucking you is that I want you to feel deep in your heart how truly worthless you really are.
So yeah, that's the end of the video. This is gonna be really long, so thank you so much for watching it all. Tell me in the comments what you guys think about the new season of The Boys. You know how much I hated this show. This show has always had problems, but this season especially was terrible. This show has just become like porn and gore at this point, and it should have ended at season 3 realistically. It was still cool meeting Carl Urban and Anthony Starr. That's still a highlight in my life. Alright, goodbye, and remember to stay based.